not a beginner to the English language, but not an expert either. Maybe this channel is for you.
We are going to start our journey together here at Grand Canyon National Park in the United States of America. We are seeing spectacular views of the canyon from the rim. From the rim is how most of the park visitors will experience the beautiful canyon with its magnificent colors. You will leave the rim to go down to the depths of the canyon and experience it from within. The rim? I keep saying the word rim. What does that mean? Let me illustrate that for you. Let me show you.
A rim is a top edge of a container, like a bowl. If we want to go from the right side to the left side of the rim, we could take this path, going down the right side of the bowl and coming up the left side. We will start on the southern rim of the canyon at the South Kaibab trailhead. We will descend, or go down, to the Colorado River at the base. We will walk through the night, making a gradual ascent up the canyon floor. The next morning, we will climb our way out of the canyon on the north rim.
Come with me. Let's go into the canyon. There is no question about it. There is no doubt about it. A rim-to-rim hike in Grand Canyon National Park is the ultimate bucket list adventure. But it is no stroll in the park. That's for certain. Being unprepared can have catastrophic results. However, when you've trained properly, have the right gear, and know what to expect, it can be one of the best experiences of your life. Because the canyon is so large and so deep and so hot in summer, once you hike 2 hours down from the rim, you have it all to yourself until you reach the camps at the base. About one person per month dies in the canyon. People fall off the edges because they are not careful. But more people die from the heat and dehydration than from falls. Despite the heat, there are signs of life. Little niches, small spots where the flora and fauna can flourish, where plants and animals can thrive. In spite of the dangers, the trail is wide and well maintained, but you do have to pay attention. The edge can have quite a drop. From the rim, the bands of color, those strips of red, orange, and creamy white, look so thin. But when we were walking through the orange band of color, it took us hours to reach the white layer. The air is dry and often windy. This can be a problem. How is that a problem? You don't realize how much you are perspiring, how much your body is dehydrated.
I loved this part of the day. The temperature was dropping, going down. The shadows were getting long. The rusty colors of red and orange were glowing. We finally reached the river at the base. You could feel the cold coming off the water. We tried to take a nap on picnic tables and benches. We went inside the general store to sit and cool down in the air conditioning. We hiked through the canyon basin by night. We stopped to take a nap, but I couldn't sleep. I saw the moon rise over the canyon wall. Unforgettable. We began our ascent in earnest at daybreak. I was torn. I wanted to get out of the basin before the intense rays of the sun, but I also loved seeing the orange hues in the early morning light. The temperature began to cool as we reached the forested north rim. We were exhausted, but we had a tremendous experience. Are you going to try it? The park receives over 5 million visitors per year. Less than 1% see what you just saw. And it only took you 4 minutes. Okay, now let's talk about English. It is time for review. What did you know? And what did you learn? Turn on your subtitles now if you have difficulty understanding my English. Okay, let's review. Come. Come is a very common command in English. If you are the leader, if you are starting something, you will often say, "Come with me." If you want people to hurry up, if you want people to not hesitate, you might say, "Come on, let's go. Come on." If you want to invite people to your house for dinner, to play a game, you might say, "Come over to my house." Let's, let us. That means, how about if you and I do something? Let's go. Let's go to a place. Let's start. Let's start a project together. Let's get started. It's urgent. Let's get started. Often we use come and let's together. Come, I'm taking the lead. Let's do this together. Next, we have a vocabulary word, dehydration. What that means is a lack of water, insufficient water. And that is the #1 reason people die in the Grand Canyon, because they do not drink enough water. Another vocabulary word is niches. They're small areas inside of larger areas, bigger areas, and they usually provide nourishment and a comfortable environment for something to live. They provide what's necessary for a plant or an animal to thrive. We also have some common pairs in English, words that when you hear one of them, you often hear the other, such as flora and fauna. Flora means plants, and fauna means animals. Another common pair is flourish and thrive. These two words mean the same thing, and it basically means to grow strong, to be vigorous, to be healthy, to be well. Our third set of common pairs is the word despite and the phrase in spite of. They are synonyms used to compare two facts. The The first fact being unaffected or unchanged by the second fact. In the picture, you can see I am standing next to a precipice. If I just took 2 more steps to one side, I would tumble to my death. But you can also see the trail is wide, and if another person needed to pass me, we have plenty of room. Our next common pair is bands and strips. Again, they are synonyms, and they signify a layer that is thinner than the other layers. Here in this example, you can see this thin white layer with a darker rock layer below it. Another common phrase is, "The shadows were getting long." It's a phrase often heard when describing conditions just before sunset. Here you can see the long shadows cast by this rock formation, and even by the rocks along the path. Funny, we never say the shadows were getting shorter in the morning. Another common phrasal verb is coming off, and what that means is emitting or radiating a temperature. When we got to the base, we could actually feel the coldness of the water through the air, even though we were not in the water. We could feel the cold emitting from the water. We could feel the cold radiating from the water. We could feel the cold coming off the water. A very common idiom is to take a nap. And a nap is a brief period of sleep. It doesn't matter whether it's in the day or the night. And you intend for this period of sleep to be brief. You are planning when you go to sleep to wake up soon. You are not going to sleep for a long time. We have another idiom, in earnest, and it means to attempt with sincerity, determination, or passion. I have a question for you. What do you think it means to try in dead earnest? Does it mean to attempt with a high level of sincerity? Or the opposite, to pretend to try, but in reality, not trying at all? In dead earnest means to attempt with a high level of sincerity. We tend not to say in very much earnest. Next up, we are going to work on some pronunciation. Our first words are orange hues. Orange hues. The orange hues of the canyon. Now I want you to repeat after me. Orange hues. Orange hues. Now let's try the sentence. The orange hues of the canyon. The next word is through. Through. When we were walking through. Now I want you to repeat after me. Through. Through. When we were walking through. Our next set of words are often windy. Often windy. And I'm going to slow this down so you can really hear it. Often windy. Often windy. The air is dry and often windy. Now I want you to repeat after me. Often windy. Often windy. The air is dry and often windy. And our last word is despite. Despite. Despite the heat. Now repeat after me. Despite. Despite. Despite the heat. Finally, we're going to end with the comprehension quiz. What did we understand? Our first phrase is no walk in the park. What does it mean? Do you know? Does it mean that I am not permitted to do something? That I am not allowed to do a thing? Or does it mean that it's difficult or hard to do something? Or does it mean that it costs money, that it's expensive to do something? What does it mean, no walk in the park? It is number 2. No walk in the park. If something is no walk in the park, it is difficult to do. Next is a true or false question. Falling is the number 1 cause of death in the canyon. True or false? Falling is the number 1 cause of death in the canyon. And the answer is false. Dehydration, lack of enough water, is the cause of more deaths. If something is certain or sure, what is the correct way to refer to it? There is no question about it, or there is no doubt about it. Which is the correct phrase for something that is certain or sure? Something that is certain or sure can be expressed either way. Both answers are correct. There is no question about it. There is no doubt about it. Which of the following 2 sentences is correct? Despite the heat, there are signs of life. Or, in spite of the heat, there are signs of life. Which is correct? Well, the answer again is that both are correct. Despite the heat, there are signs of life, or in spite of the heat, there are signs of life. They both work, and so when you know how to use one, you can easily vary your conversation and use the other. If the temperature is decreasing, how would we express that? Would we say, it is heating down? Or, it is heating up? Or would we say, it is cooling down? Or, finally, it is cooling up? Well, the last answer for our last question is, it is cooling down. That is how we would express a decrease in temperature. Thank you for watching this video. If you are learning English, I would love to know if you found this video informative, entertaining, and if you think it will help you use English phrases and understand them when you hear other English speakers use them.